A very good evening to everybody. Rhhyns Academy Private Limited is back with the third edition of the Rhhyns Academy Roundtable Conference. We have discussed New Education Policy 2020, emotional health and wellness in children, and are now focusing on expressive arts as a therapeutic tool to aid the mental and psychological health and development of children. The turnings of this roundtable conference was documented into the white paper, which was submitted to the Ministry of Education, UNICEF, to Ms. Shweta Shalini, the BJP spokesperson, and Niti Aayog. If the suggestions, edits, and recommendations of the first roundtable organized by Rhhyns Academy Private Limited do get implemented in the new education policy, then the hard work and contribution by all our panelists will surely make a difference in the style of education of our children. Each of our panelists at all three roundtable conferences are stalwarts in their own right in their field of expertise. For the third edition, we have Mr. Yogesh Barot, a postgraduate in direction from Film and Television Institution of India, Masters in HRM and LR from the prestigious Tata School of Social Sciences, popularly known as TIS, is also certified drama-based facilitator from Theatre Professionals Group of Mumbai. Yogesh is ready to work with anyone who is keen to maximize their inner spirit potential. Next, we have Ms. Tripti Raikwar. Tripti is an art healer, spiritual creative coach, parent counselor, and intuitive life story channel. A storyteller by heart, she is the founder of Tristi Healing Arts and has also been actively working on her research thesis, Importance of Work with Heart. Heart here means healing and expressive art revival therapy for spiritual upliftment of an individual. We have Dr. Preeti Modi. She's a clinical psychologist and art therapist. She has done her research in understanding child psychology through drawing, sketching, and painting. We also have with us Ms. Julie Stenher. She's a psychotherapist, certified parenting expert, certified expressive art therapist, EFT practitioner, and a social worker. Working with street children, orphans, children with traumatic background since 2012. At present, she is working in an NGO as a project coordinator in Snehalaya Center for Child Rights, Guwahati, Assam. Also trained in understanding specific learning disorder, that is identification, assessment, and management. Next, we have Ms. Sarita Nair. She is a professional performance storyteller. Sarita Nair is content to wear the heads, is contended to wear the heads of a professional storyteller and facilitator, and has been implementing concepts of storytelling and theater to stimulate questions regarding various situations and behavioral patterns in children and adults. Sarita is certified in therapeutic storytelling. She has immense belief and passion towards the power of theater. And last but not the least, we have Ms. Chetna Mehrotra. She is the founder of Rangbhumi, an applied theater organization. Chetna is an applied theater practitioner and founder at Rangbhumi. They work as a curriculum partner with schools and also create learning spaces for corporate through applied theater modalities. She believes in passionating, amplifying the voices of children in the education-making process. The session will be moderated by me, Riddhi Doshi Patel, a child psychologist, parenting counselor, and a dance movement therapy practitioner myself. I have been studying the benefits of expressive arts and uses of color therapy as one of my modalities at my session. I welcome all the panelists and thank you so much for sparing some time and being there for the third roundtable conference organized by Rhhyns Academy Private Limited. I intend to give a lot of value, lot of takeaways to all the participants today with the help of all of you. They'll say thank you. To all my panelists, the expressive therapies are the use of the creative arts as a form of therapy, including the distinct disciplines, expressive art therapy and the creative art therapies. Unlike traditional arts expressions, the process of creation is emphasized here rather than the final product. It uses dance, drama, drawing, painting, inclusion, sketching, storytelling, and any form of creative art forms to express oneself and find answers to hidden stress inducers. This expressive art is even more important for children in their formative years and age because their vocabulary is limited. They do not understand emotions and feelings, are often unable to put in words, and their emotional state is affected. Today, with your help as experts and stalwarts from the industry of expressive arts, we will together break down the benefits of expressive and creative expressions in mental health wellness. To start with, Mr. Yogesh Barot, you talk about maximizing an individual's inner spirit potential. Can you please explain how this works in children?
Well, to start with, I'd like to give you a statistic that an average child who's 4-year-old would smile 300 times in a day. But then the child goes through something called as the human cliff, okay? And they fall off the human cliff by the time they reach age 23. And at age 23, how many times in a day would an average adult smile? I would give you a statistic. They smile only 300 times in 75 days. From 300 times a day to 300 times in 75 days, the kids, which was smiling 300 times a day, has now become an adult who just smiles 300 times in 75 days, average 2 or 3 times a day. Do you think we deserve to smile so less? No, we don't. We deserve to smile a little bit more. And that can only happen because we are somewhere down the line overlooking this human potential, or I would say the creative potential, which each one of us carry. Our curriculum by default has been designed in a way where we are being, what you can say, given benefits, or we are rewarded for compliance. We are rewarded for being compliant to certain particular norm, particular tradition, particular rule, and by remembering something in a particular way. So imagine in a class of 1:60, all 60 people are getting the same experience at the same period of time, and then they're expected to behave differently when they go back into the world normally. Now, all these 60 students grow up and have the same dream of buying a home, buying a car, becoming a normal human being. And they are meant to fit in a normal state. Now, all this energy which has been invested in making people compliant to the existing world is not making them realize the real potential. Now, a child is being told not to do things close to the, I would say, called, the technical term is negative reinforcement. When a kid is growing up, on an average, a negative reinforcement which a kid goes through is close to 4 billion times in a span of 1 year. Close to, and compare it to the positive reinforcement is just 10,000 times, yes. 14,000, 10 to 14,000. Now, rather than seeing what cannot happen, every parent is, or every adult who's trying to show the kid a path is trying to limit their experience by sharing their limited experience with them. and not allowing them to experience it by their own self. That doesn't mean you will allow your kid to put their fingers in the electric circuit. That's not going to happen. But yeah, you need to make sure that you don't overdo or stop them from exploring inner potential. Now, when we were growing up, I remember there were only 2 or 3 things as career targets: doctor, engineer, blah blah blah, and most of us were having 3 or 4 options. But same someone kid who had a different experience 30 years ago, I have a friend who discovered this profession of underwater sea diving. Like, he's an underwater photographer. 30
wow.
years ago, he had this passion, and I was amazed that he had this thought process at that age when we were just stuck between doctors and engineers. Now, this whole thing where we are focusing on getting, what you can say, acclimatized or compliant to a particular system should be done away with, and we should and see that what individual potential each one is carrying. I might score 0 and 100 in maths, but I might be amazingly good at creative arts or painting. But no, and all my life I'll be judged for my 0 out of 100 on maths. That's so unfair, So let's try to have a field. Let's do away with all those comparative scales where we are just seeing the disability of a person over their ability to do anything. Yesterday, I just read an article where a kid with Asperger's syndrome was spending time in a mall, and he started rearranging the shelf in an orderly manner. Now, this is an innate talent which he possessed. Now, instead of labeling him as a Asperger's syndrome case, we can see him as a creative person who believes in order. And if we can trigger that side of his personality and kind of reward him for that, I'm sure the world will be a much better place where we'll be less competitive and more accommodative of each other. And that can only happen when we see things not from one scale, but we see skill from an individual perspective. It's just like having food. I might not like a particular dish, that's respected, but when it comes to my career path or my vision or my way to do things, people would say, "Hey, kya bakwas kar raha hai? You want to be a dancer?" Yeah. So those kind of things. I mean, yeah.
So you feel, Yogesh, that the acceptance and the awareness is increasing day by day, or still we have apprehensions on, inculcating this, expressive arts or allowing the children to be more creative in our education system?
I think slowly the things are changing, and especially when I see Chetna also is there, and she's going to talk a lot about Ranguni, so I'll let her do that. But yes, I'm really it gives a smile on my face when I see Ranguni doing such great job, and even Sarita is doing some wonderful work with kids. I know both of them, that's why I know their work. I'm sure other panelists are also doing equally creative work in their field. But I'm saying such reforms are happening, and this itself is now promoting dance movement therapy, expressive arts as a niche, and that shows that the things are changing. And yes, more and more. Then this is a third conference, so third roundtable conference. So in the last 3 years, we have made a whole lot of impact in our own respective spaces.
Absolutely.
So I'm sure the things are moving, and in the next 10 years, I see it's maybe if you're at 5%, I would say, but then in the next 10 years, I'm seeing that go close to 50 to 60% of the whole education model in which we are. And I'm sure all of us are going to play a very pivotal role in shaping this.
Yes, I'm so keeping my fingers crossed for this. Dr. Modi, you have extensively researched on understanding child psychology through drawing, sketching, and painting. What have your findings been, and what do we do about it? Should school curriculum be changed? Should parents undergo a training session? What can be done? What are your suggestions, and what is your say on this?
First of all, thank you so much for having me on this platform and sharing my insight about my research and thesis, what have been done. To answer your question, when I was doing this research, it was a beautiful journey for me because I have connected to a lot of different kids. As my topic suggested, understanding child psychology through drawing, sketching, and painting, where we are doing non-verbal communication with them, where words are not playing a vital role, but the ways of, they are putting themselves on a piece of paper. And the beautiful way that the beautiful transformation that I had while doing this research, because I had 1500 to 2000 data from all over India, from different backgrounds, may it be a municipality school or kids going to a high-end school, kids from who is having CP or disabled, having learning disability. So I have incorporated all of them together, and I try to understand where is the pace, where is the the ground level. Definitely, when we are working with different age group, we will be seeing a different modalities, different parameters of their understanding, of they seeing the world with their own eyes, how they are perceiving, and that was depicted on the piece of paper. I have seen a lot of voids. I have seen a lot of, not accepted by their own parents. I have seen a lot of stress and darkness in the kids' drawing. And it's not a sound or happy feeling for me to say that when it comes to home environment, when it comes to acceptance, and where the parents and families are playing a very vital role, when the kids are lacking that warmth and love over there, it plays a very, very big impact on a kid's mental health. So when I was doing this research, the universal or the ground level finding, what I came across throughout my research, is that the environment where you are nurturing your kid plays a very vital role. If you
Absolutely.
force a kid to do something which a child is not allowing himself or herself to get into that activity, the impact, the differences on the piece of paper will be seen. The usage of color, being a color therapist, you will be able to understand how the colors plays a vital role. You will be seeing the changes in the color selection, in the the pressure of the pencils over the piece of paper. Second of all, how their mood impacts from morning till evening. If a child is very happy go lucky in the daytime and something fishy is happening in the family itself, I'm forgetting about the school environment right now, but when we talk about the home environment, and if something is fishy going on, or some some quarrels are going on, and that impacts very bad on the child mental health, and that again depicts on the piece of paper. So third of all, if there is a lack of confidence, if you see there is a lack of confidence and the child is not able to come out of of a comfort zone, and the stress of even putting himself on a piece of paper, that is so evident that you can just clearly see on the physiological level of a child that, my goodness, this child is not letting be him or her. So a lot of parameters had played a role for me while I was doing the research. And when we talk about the school environment, it's very important that how you can, I will not say change the curriculum, because each subject is equally important, and how the modalities, or how the our education system is taking ahead. So I will not say that change the entire system of curriculum or anything like that, but I will definitely would see that how we can change the mode of assessment, how we can change the mode of understanding each child potential and capabilities, just not because a child is not able to comprehend well on a piece of paper by writing, but there is another way to assess the child. If a child is a good orator, or if he or she can speak very well, then why can't we assess the child as per his strength? Why we are focusing on the weaknesses of the child? I understand the writing part is important, but not for a 6-year-old kid or 5-year-old kid, where you just bring on a creative, skills. You just hand it over the spiral of 50 pages to a 6-year-old kid and ask them to write it down. Come on. The child is just a 6-year-old kid. Let the child be. Let the child explore. Let the child, explore the world through you.
How beautiful is that, Dr. Modi? And I so agree with you. So I remember my times with the government school 3 years before, and that was exactly what we did with children in pre-primary section. And I so agree with you, that really works. Giving 5 minutes in the morning itself works wonders on the mental health of children.
Definitely. As Khalil Gibral said, that children come through you. They don't come for you, they come through you.
Absolutely.
So keeping that in mind, definitely training should be provided to the parents and the teachers as well, because if the parents are not aware what are the potentials of their own kids, how they can catch hold of the strength of their own kids, the parents will not be able to nurture their kids very well. And if there is no acceptance from the parent side, how the child will accept himself first of all, and how he can hope and expect that teachers will also accept the child the way I am.
Absolutely. So like it's kind of allowing the child to accept and accept your child as the way he or she is. Wonderful.
Exactly.
Thank you, Dr. Modi. Trupti, you are an art healer, and I have personally attended your session. Well, I've attended Chetna's, Yogesh, Sarita's sessions as well. So Trupti, being an art healer, let's understand, how does art heal and how does it impact a growing child's mental framework?
So first of all, thank you, and thank you, dear panelists, all of us being together. It's so important in these days, to have holding hands. It's very important. It's not a one-man job anyways, it is said. Even upbringing a child, we need a village. Yeah, they say that we need a community. And when as a community we come together and hold hands to bring forth some of the most essential element which we are missing and we are looking at but not able to bring it, the essential elements to our own children, then we definitely start bringing out such programs to bring in people together to understand the importance. What does a child need to grow? Leave alone mental framework for everything. What does one need to grow? It needs a combination of many things. And what is happening to the society now is more focusing on the product. What will this child become? Then how will this child feel at a certain period of time? We have so many youngsters. If you look at everyone in the age of 20s to 30s, feeling that inside, isn't it? So when you ask this beautiful question of mental framework, what exactly brings mental framework? Yeah, when you feel and you can smile, as Yogesh very well said, 300 times in a day and coming to 300 times in 75 days. What are we doing that we cannot smile enough? Where is all this time and energy going away? So when we say art heals, look at everything in the evolution of human beings, which we have left behind. So in ancient time, it was a part of your daily rituals, daily elements. You woke up and you did those things. You worked with forms. You worked with movement of your body. You worked with having expression. You were free. If you had to do, you had those sense of awe when you moved around. And when we take this away and we make it more plastic, it comes through overburdened stimulations outside. What happens? It's not natural. It's only created in plastic. What happens? We take away a small chunk of the soul. And each time when this chunk of soul turns down or comes down, yes, what happens? The smile goes away. So for any mental framework, retaining what we come with is so essential. Retaining with what we bring along. So as a child, I bring a lot of things into the world. What happens to it? Who takes it away? We. Let's take this as our first. We cannot say the schools, we all have kids. We have children, we work with children. Look at it. Who's doing it? We as adults. As adults, we take away few things. Today, if you look at the pandemic also, Rhhyns, haven't we taken away something from this generation now? Which our parents gave us very freely. We had it with us.
Absolutely.
We have to take the responsibility of it. So when I look at how does art heal, I look at it not being the most essential ingredient of day-to-day life. We're taking away the sunshine. We're taking away the most important element, soil. There is no soil, there is no sunshine. Art is all about being into it. We never had, if you look at our great grandparents, It was not about degrees. It was not about paper. It was not about designations. It was all about being human. Yeah. People with kindness were looked at. Art promotes these elements because it is all about heart. It is a big chunk, 60% of heart. When you look at it, HEART is made up of art. And how can we say no to it? So that
How
60%,
beautiful.
where does it go? We are not bringing it in the form it is required, in the form it is needed. So, for a mental framework, even to take a structure, there are so many senses that are either parched or overstimulated. And when we say art heals, it heals when there is a consistency in taking in something every day. Not when my vitamin D is down, I go into the sun. It's taking sun each day, not because I'm going to be somewhere deficient with this vitamin D, but because it's a need for me to be out in the sun, in the air. So the Pancha Tattvas with art, when I look at it from the healing aspect, we look at the five tattvas within us, yeah, being given importance and nourishment. And if you do not give importance to it, the mental framework, not only the mental, the emotional element, and also the physical aspect, everything starts getting parched. You will have to supplement it in some or the other way. So whether it is in the form of a therapy, or whether it is in the form of a supplement that goes for the physical body, or something that you need to bring in the structure. So there is some holes that we need to fill up.
How beautiful.
There are some holes that we need to fill up, and that's always uh, we know they are. Who takes the burden? Who takes the initiative? Who goes forward? Who stands and says no to something? We have a lot of yes people.
तृप्ति, आपको लगता है कि हम जो अपने पुराने जमाने में जो मिट्टी में खेलते थे या used to be playing outside in the open grounds and all, वो हम चीजें जैसे जैसे छोड़ते जा रहे हैं, we are getting into a space wherein there are a lot of health issues. When I say health issues, is physical, mental, emotional.
Everything. So yes, isn't it an art? अगर आप किसी हम लोग गिल्ली डंडा खेलते थे, like if you look at those traditional games, don't you need a kind of a skill? Art is all about sharpening your skills, and that is one which has been put into a framework of not so important subject. For your mathematical skills, estimation is important. Where does estimation come from? When you can gauge, when I gauge how do I hit that marble, isn't that an art? That focus, that concentration. So in dance, when I make a particular move and reach a form, yeah, when I create that form within my body, what am I doing? I'm aligning myself in a particular way and keeping that balance. Again, balance is a sense. So when we talk about mental framework, do we have a clear picture of what exactly a mental framework is made up of? And how can you separate it from any other framework of yours? Because they are woven in so beautifully like the DNA. You cannot take away one strand and say it is still complete. You will have to find that and fit it again.
Brilliant, brilliant. And I still remember that I always tell my little parents of my little clients that, please allow them to play in mitti and all. And they get so finicky ki nails mein ho jayega. I said, nails clip kar dena, that is okay, but let them play. उसमें कुछ germs नहीं होगा. I guarantee for that. I mean, it's beautiful.
मिट्टी के बने हो, I will say, मिट्टी के बने हो, मिट्टी खाओगे तो मिट्टी में जो है ना उससे इम्यूनिटी भी पाओगे. मैं ऑलवेज व्हेन माय चिल्ड्रन एंड माय पेरेंट्स कम इन ऐसे, तो मिट्टी के बने हो और मिट्टी ही नहीं खाओगे तो फिर कैसे चलेगा? यू मस्ट हैव दैट ब्रिंग्स दोस चिल्ड्रन. आई स्टिल रिमेंबर हमारी जब कैडबरी नीचे गिर जाया करती थी या कोई चॉकलेट गिर जाता तो हमसे कहते थे, हम बोलते थे ये किसका है, भगवान का है या भूत का है? एंड देन वी टू जस्ट हैव इट. लुक एट दैट those things about children, where is it gone? I always tell parents, please come back to it.
That's a very debatable topic, and I can speak on this for hours and hours. Because with 14 years in this space, I know there are a lot of things that I need to make parents understand that this is so important. So while we're discussing about our roots and allowing our children to be more grounded in terms of connecting with self, connecting with your roots, be there in open, be simple. Chetna, I wanted to understand from you that you have worked with schools on their curriculum. Art, craft, music, dance are already a part of school co-curricular activities. So what different do you plan, and how does that impact a child?
Sure. So namaste everybody, and thank you Riddhi for once again, and Vandana also once again calling all of us here. I think as Yogesh said, I'll just piggyback on him that it's a great noise. These noises must be made with a lot of pride, and I'm so happy. Congratulations to you, Riddhi. Yes. So as I said, did you say co-curricular?
Yes.
Okay.
You got me there.
Okay. Okay. So I think now we can say validate NEP भी यही कहता है कि अभी there is no boundary between core and core. So अभी core is core. There's nothing as core. अभी कोई supportive subjects नहीं है. These are all very core, intrinsic, as all of us have been talking about. Tripti ji, Preeti ji,
Absolutely.
Yogesh is there. You have been experiencing this yourself. So so I cannot say art painting does this and drama cannot do this. So each of them have their own methods. Of course, the core from which they emanate, even if you take NLP or any spiritual tool, what art heals, Tripti was saying, they all, of course, move towards a similar destination. So what work we do in Rangbhoomi is called applied theatre, which is little different from what mainstream theatre is viewed as. So here, applied theatre की जो history है, अगर हम देखें, it started from spaces of war, civil war, where people had a lot of post-trauma of war, like Brazil in the early 60s, post-World War, where Theatre in Education by Dorothy Heathcote started, Peter Slade's work, Brian Weiss' work, and then Jonathan Fox in playback theatre. He wanted to move from a very dictatorialship theatre, कि जहाँ पे director बोलते हैं आप ऐसे ही बात करना. He wanted to create a more democratic space, which was already existing in India in terms of Ram Leela or Jatra, where there was a lot of democracy. You know, I was a kid, and I'll take from Trupti, that we used to see this Bindi Bechne wali auntie in the morning and uncle in the morning, and Sham ko Sita ji bane hue. You know, so there were no trained people required from Harvard or any university. So applied theatre is very democratic. First of all, it's non-judgmental, very participatory, and immersive. And there is no hierarchy that you are the audience and I am up on the stage. Okay, you have to look up to me always. So it tells you that you co-own the theater space with me. Come with me. Let's do this together. So this gives such a huge space for a child, an adult, anybody to come in the space as they are. They are received first of all. Not accepted. Accepted is, I feel, a very non-judgmental word. हाँ ठीक है, दीवार आपकी green है तो अच्छी है, accept कर लेती हूँ. But am I receiving that green as it is? You know, so first is that it does the receiving first. And then, of course, as the theater word itself definitely is a very human texturized word. There is a lot of social. You can't move away from your partner if you're doing any theater exercise. You are with somebody. There are rejections. The partner may reject you through a game. The partner may really love you through the game. Somebody may not be. Like I have had a lot of theater games where I have never had any people coming in my team, and I used to be very numbers, and their numbers matter. Doesn't matter. How will you stand up for yourself? So all that, and then of course there is the second. The first is the cognitive understanding. Then is the emotion. What are the emotions generated? And applied theater, I say, is a very, very a space where you can't hide your real self. It brings out your real self in 10 minutes of the play. It's 10 minutes of the play. And our processes are like not traditional as a proscenium theater. They are processes like theater of the oppressed, where we look at the name itself suggests theater of the oppressed, where we look at the conflict within and without, with children, in adolescents, pre-tweens, tweens, and then playback. Playback theater allows people to say their stories and it is enacted on the spot. So imagine the kind of energy that goes when you're listening to somebody and enacting. Wow, people talk about empathy in a corporate workshop for 10 hours. This is like a 2 minutes empathy. Okay, I must be also with you in your story. Otherwise, I can't play it back. It's an honoring. Otherwise, I will dishonor your story. So that's how I think what you just asked, and also it encourages an equal dialoguing opportunity. Theatre of the oppressed, the texture of that theatre is that if Riddhi has an opinion on something and I have a different opinion, well, let me come as a spectator in your conflict. I cannot sit back there. And then we have an equal dialoguing opportunity. So definitely there is painting where people sit and talk, there is craft, but theater here gives you to create that social structure. And very importantly, first, as I say, the praxis of theater. Avastu Bual, who created Theatre of the Oppressed, said, it is about praxis. It's about deeper reflection with action.
Yes.
So it goes hand in hand. You can't just say, "Main duniya badal dungi." You have to get the first step done, right?
Absolutely. With the kind permission, panelists, I would like to share an example or a small incident that happened with me while I was young. So during the vacation, the summer vacations, we used to have a person, a guy used to come with his tela to sell tarbuj, okay, the watermelons. And every morning he used to come. So my morning used to start with he used to sing in a loud voice. So हम जो बंगलों में रहते थे वहां से सीधे नीचे उतर के हम भागते थे, and he used to say लालम लाल गुलाबे माल तरबूज खाओगे, and he used to sing in a tune. My day used to start with rhythm, and he was so expressive while he used to sing this. I still remember. So with my little one, whenever he wants to eat the watermelon and I'm chopping that, the first thing that comes to my mind is that song, and I sing for him, and he enjoys that. So I feel that rhythm, somewhere expressions, tune, everything is so much imbibed in us, right? Kind of we are stopping ourselves to be, using it somewhere. I'm just loving the conversation. Julie, as someone who has worked with children who have a lot of traumatic experiences, how has art helped them to heal?
Yeah, first of all, thank you very much, Riddhi, for making me a part of this wonderful conversation. I'm really glad to be part of this wonderful discussion.
Thank you for accepting my invitation, Julie.
Thank you so much. So working with children, underprivileged, orphans, abandoned, neglected, and in my last 8 years experience, what I could say first thing is that these children are so innocent, and their children are just like, we all know, they're just like flower, like birds, and they are not allowed to bloom slowly. At the time when they are bird, they are crushed by their own family members, by their mom, dad, relatives. And at that early childhood, when they are crushed by their own family members, by the society, by the relatives, they lose all the hope ahead in future. They can't even dream of or hope that we will bloom again in future. So when they come to our shelter home by different rescued by Childline or different NGOs, CWC, Child Welfare Committee, they transfer the children with us, and there are respective homes, there are respective psychologists and counselors. But here the point comes, it's very, very difficult to build rapport with this category children, because children those who come from family for counseling, we all have that experience. There are parents who will narrate us कि मेरा बच्चा ऐसा है, ये प्रॉब्लम है, वो प्रॉब्लम है, प्लीज आप हेल्प कीजिए. But here, these children, those who have no one to reveal us what is their background, whatever first information we receive from them, and investigation report that is brought by the social workers, based on that only the reports and files are prepared and counselors approach them. Now the children are rigid and they have the resentment not to open up. It's very, very difficult to help them to open up and express what is inside them. In the first hand, they will never tell that they are physically, mentally, or sexually abused. You can't even expect from them any of this. Or they will not even tell the truth that their father abused their mother mentally, verbally, different way. So here what happened, this expressive art therapy, now only it has started. In the beginning, it was not there, because here in Northeast, in Assam, where I stay, counseling and expressive art therapies, now only it has coming up slowly, and still the awareness is very, very less. When we share people expressive art therapy, okay, we'll come that later. So when these children are given colors to sit down, and we don't, when personally I did the session with my beneficiaries, my group of children with whom I gave them set of colors and paper, and I just told them, you don't need to tell me anything, you don't need to express me anything, whatever happened to you, just whatever you were feeling, take a breath, feel that as much as you can or as less as you can, and put it in this paper. There is no right, wrong, no judgment. And there comes. So I give sometimes plain sheet of paper and sometimes a sheet of paper where there is a figure of a body image is made plain, and I give them and I tell them, just whatever you feel like, do it, And there in certain workshops also I have used with some slum children, and without speaking any words in group session, they take the paper of where there is a body image drawn, and they will sketch, they will use color, and you can imagine particular point only in the private parts, in the head zone, they will put very dark colors. And I know everybody cannot understand that language, only those who are from psychological background or an expressive art therapist will understand what those colors mean to them. So in that way I have helped children to come out, to open up what is inside them, because when there are psychologists who do talking therapy or CBT, they will not say what are their negative thoughts. They will simply say, I don't have anything, I'm not feeling anything, I'm fine. They're not even aware what their feelings are. So here I feel that expressive art therapy is really, really very helpful. It's sad to say that even I work in an NGO, and it's one of the good NGO in Northeast, top NGO I can say. Here even my authority people, they also do not understand that much the importance of expressive art therapies. Because when we say expressive art therapy, people say it is just art and craft, it's just a drawing. That is the first thing,
Yes.
And I'm really tired of explaining them that it is not only playing with colors and drawing something, it is like expressing the emotion, what is hidden inside, what they cannot express it verbally, share with someone, or like talk to anyone. It's simply like they are feeling so angry and they have no one to express. Take a sheet of paper, scribble it, crush it, tear it, and throw in the dustbin. That is also a form of releasing, a lot of anger coming out.
Absolutely.
So these are the small techniques that I have taught the people whom I, excuse me, just a second, my son. Mama. Please, can you excuse me for 5 minutes? 6 o'clock. I'm so sorry.
No problem at all.
I just excuse me for 5 minutes. Just talk to your dad, okay? Is it 6 o'clock? Show me. So then I'm so sorry.
That's absolutely okay. That's absolutely okay.
He knows that I'm in conversation, but he wants to come and see what Mama is doing. So that is way. It's really important to spread this awareness in our society, in the schools, in the community, in the villages, everywhere, that how counseling in different modalities like expressive art therapy, whether storytelling, whether drama, whether singing, it's helping our children. And the children are the people, are the group of like innocent children. They are the group of people who cannot, regulate their emotions. They cannot share their emotions. Like when we are angry, we will simply tell, I'm very angry, please don't disturb me. But children, they don't know. They will cannot say even they are hungry. They cannot express even they are sad. They themselves, they're not aware. So if this awareness in our schools, in our community, whenever we do more and more awareness program, because few group of psychologists and we free group of people, how much we are doing is still less. We need more group of people to support us, and this is not for our benefit. This is for the benefit of our future, our citizenship, that is our children. And so I would really like to tell you, being in the root level with the children who have been, there is no one, like they have seen crime themselves to their own eyes, and the traumatic background, and where they suffer PTSD, it follows them entire life. because only talking counseling doesn't help them. It is only like temporary basic one-to-one, that the root cause, it doesn't come out.
Absolutely.
And
I so agree. I so agree.
and that is the where we keep saying, "Arey, 10 years हो गया, हम लोग तो counseling provide कर रहे हैं. We are giving counseling in an NGO, but why children are addicted after they left CCI, Child Care Institute? When they leave CCI, why they are addicted? Why they are school dropout? And why they are so much having disruptive behaviors?" We complain that. But here, only talking counseling is not going to help out. We need to adopt many different modalities, which is easy for the children to heal, crack their nuts, and come out from that wound, and open up and happily able to say that, yes, this incident happened in my life, and I am okay with it. I let it go and I'm moving ahead.
That's so beautifully, explained. And you said storytelling. That's where I would like to understand from Sarita. Sarita, storytelling is an art, and you use that art as, in a very therapeutic manner. What is the difference between regular storytelling and therapeutic storytelling?
Firstly, thank you so much for having me here, Riddhi. It's wonderful to be here. And what an enriching conversation this is. I mean, right from Yogesh to Preeti to Tripti, Chetna, Julie, the kind of work you all do, hats off to you. So before I get into what is storytelling, I want to ask you all, please take a minute to think about it. What do stories mean to you? When you think of stories, how do you connect it to that? And for me personally, stories are extremely powerful and they're mighty, and they work in silence, they work invisibly, as someone has said, and they become a part of us and they change us. What is storytelling? But there are so many layers to storytelling, but I can share what we do. So I have an initiative called Heritage Stories in Performing Arts, and we have a program called Itihas Ke Panno Se, where we share stories of unsung heroes, stories of unsung heroes who have sacrificed their lives for our freedom. Now, why am I sharing this? Because this began during the lockdown, and the whole idea was to try and inspire people that you can overcome your situation in life. Take a look at what people have gone through in history of India. You don't have to go far. And here, these people, irrespective of the gender, their age, this economic background, they all worked towards a goal, which they wouldn't even know whether they would see, whether they would see freedom. So that's those stories are done in different formats. We have artists who have painted. We had Chetna and Rangbhumi do a theatrical performance. We have had folk singers. So again, storytelling has different formats where the stories of these people were shared. Now, in a regular storytelling, it's a great way to share ideas, beliefs. Like Riddhi just shared the story of the tarbuza, and there was a story there for all of us where she gave us a glimpse into what she felt. So regular storytelling does that. It shares beliefs, it talks about life lessons, and that's what we do with Itihas Ke Panno Se. Now, what is therapeutic storytelling and how is it different? Because even these stories heal. But in therapeutic storytelling, we intentionally use creative metaphors to create individualized stories, which accommodates certain challenges faced by children or adults. And through the story, we also give them a possible resolution, give them an insight to reflect, or to try and understand what's happening. So that's the difference between therapeutic storytelling and a normal storytelling. Both heal, but in therapeutic, it is more concentrated on a specific challenge. Again, the story is not to make anyone feel guilty, or it's not to put in a moral value, but it is as close to the person's life as possible without really revealing much about it. So metaphors are very powerful there. Yes.
Brilliant, brilliant. That's so amazing, and in fact, you made it so easy for all of us to understand what is storytelling and what is therapeutic storytelling. Lovely. Yogesh, usually when you talk about drama, the undertaking is that you have lines to learn, and I completely recall my school days when a script was given and you have to learn, and all positions to maintain and costumes to change. But you talk about drama as something else. What is it? Would you like us to experience along with you, or would you like to take the participants on a journey right now? What?
Sure, sure. So I think for me, simply put up, like theater has three basic elements: character, situations, and emotions. Now, you can say any lines, you can say no lines. There are mute characters too. So had I been your drama professor, I would have given you a mute character if you had problems with line. So you could have still done your role really well. So how do you make a character, situation, and emotion? Combination of that. That's what theater is all about, drama is all about, in a simple way to understand for anyone who's not in this. Now, primarily, there are 9 basic emotions, now rasas as we call them. If I can share the PPT, then I can quickly show you the
Yes.
image and you guys can
Sure,
discuss
sure. I'll just give
as to
you
guess which emotions does this image trigger inside you.
just a
and which
second.
has, yeah,
I'll
yeah,
give
sure.
you
No worries.
co-host rights.
No worries.
Yes, please.
So yes, I'm the co-host. I'm powerful. Anyways, so yeah. So now let's see. Let's start with this rasa. Okay, this is part of our activity called All Can Act. But yeah, this is which emotion do you think is evoking inside you? People can put in the chat if you guys want to come on audio and quickly say the emotion. You can say it. What emotion do you think this is evoking? What is this emotion? What rasa is this? Guys, anyone? Yes, sorrow. She's sad. Are you sure she's sad? Can you observe? Like, there's a difference between sadness and whatever is happening with her. What is this emotion again? Shant. Yes, Chetna, you're right. Shant is peace. Now you see the white bird. It's symbolic of peace. So this peace. This emotion is called peace or Shantras. What about this emotion? Which emotion is this? What emotion is this?
Bibhats?
Vibhat. Yeah, disgust. Someone said that. Yeah. Right. Okay, and what about the next emotion? This one.
Surprised.
This is surprise, shock. Yeah, surprise or shock, or we call it wonder or adbhut. What about this? We see flowers, we see butterflies, we see roses. Okay, this is peaceful. Yes, but this is something else. You also see a small little heart in her eye. No. What does heart symbolizes?
Romantic.
Love.
Love.
Yeah, it is love.
Love.
This is love. This is love. Yeah. What about this?
Happiness.
Happiness.
Ecstasy. Yeah. This is joy. Yeah, joy, happiness. Yeah. And what about this? See focus in the eyes. You see he's Iron Man. He's supposed to be a leader. What exactly is this? Anger is different from anger. Dedicated, yes, to an extent dedicated. But what exactly? We see him focused. We see him dedicated. So it's called the Veer Ras or courage. Courage. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Yes. Courage. And what about this emotion? This is sadness. The all favorite sadness. Sadness. Many people mentioned sadness before this. So yeah, sadness. It's one of the core emotions, sadness. And what about this? This one. This is a little different from being shocked or surprised. This is fear. Yeah, she's scared of something. And about now, this is anger. This is anger. This is different from the previous one. This is focused. Right? Now, we saw the 9 emotions. I'll quickly recap for you guys. Now, this is anger, this is fear, sadness, courage, joy, love, wonder, disgust, and peace. These are 9 core emotions, okay? Majorly, now rasas as we call. Now I have this question. Now, what do you think is your emotional superpower? What is your emotional superpower? Let's think about it. Now, let's give it a 1 minute time. And what do you think is the emotional superpower? Now, to make it easy, we can do another small, quick activity as to who are the top 5 people in your life. Now, if you can quickly recall or make a note of those top 5 people in your life, who are the top 5 people in your life? Just make a note of those top 5 people in your life. And think of 2 things. Number 1, what emotions do they evoke inside you? Okay. So, for example, anyone would like to share the top 5 people in the life? Anyone? Anyone from the panelists or anyone from the audience who wants to share the top 5 people in the life? My 5. I call it the my 5. Yeah, the things.
My father, my mother, my son, my husband, and my work.
And your work. Okay. So predominantly, I think more or less 70 to 80% of you would have the same top 5 people. Unless one or I think the fourth or fifth will be a little uneven, but the top 3 people has to be your family member or someone who's in your close circle, right? So despite of being so diverse and different, our top 5 people are the same, like more or less they are same. And if you were to list down the emotions, what emotions do they evoke in you, Riddhi? Like out of those 9 emotions which we just saw?
Happiness.
Yeah.
Strictness, also discipline, anger.
Right.
Love.
Yeah.
Peace.
Right.
And
more or less, yeah, exactly. Yeah, and so, and what about now the other way around? What emotions do you think you evoke in them?
Oh yes.
It might not be same, and it has to be different. Now, this fight. Now we don't need to really demystify this, because this 5 emotions or the trigger which you give in other people is your emotional superpower. If you are an empath, or if you have this ability to understand others or listen others, or give them a comfort space to come and share things with you, then obviously those emotions will be your emotional superpower is empathy. Or if you slowly understand what is your emotional superpower. Now, no school gives you this ability to look at your emotions as your superpower. We have been always made to put the emotion under the carpet or under the bed. This is something where the major problem comes, where when we go to the corporate life or the real life, or we start behaving in public. So from 0 to 5 years, I'm allowed to do whatever I want to do, and I have a way of getting things done. Cry or make a puppy face as a kid. Yeah, but when I go out, things don't happen as it is, and I learn to manipulate. I learn to start lying. I learn to do different things to get things done in my way. Now this happens because the excess of money is more than excess of art. Now today, my art is good. I'm doing great things in my art. But when I see my privilege, my art is still invisible to those metro workers whom I pass through when I'm sitting in my cab every day. My art is still not reaching them. My art is still not accessible to them. And unless and until they don't see value in it, and unless and until my art remains among the people who are in my close circle only, people will not take it seriously. People will only want free subscriptions of Netflix and Amazon Prime, but people will not take art seriously because it's in our hand that we make it accessible. At the same time, when we were talking about culture, we're talking about heritage. So for that current metro worker, or in the olden days, the class which we refer to as Shudra, for them the routine was not as privileged as we're talking right now about, say, having a routine about a particular art form, or it was only limited to a privileged class. Now this generational trauma, or this mindset which the rule of British regime on our nation has given to us, where we are made to think only in the how much value a person is creating for me. Okay, first thing I ask is, what do you do, so I can decide how much I should respect you. I ask you, आप क्या करते हैं? अच्छा, आप डॉक्टर इंजीनियर हैं तो मैं आपका रिस्पेक्ट करूंगा. अच्छा, जैसे आपने बोला कि आप थिएटर करते हैं, अच्छा ठीक है, good, करो. So I mean, that's the thing, people ask you what you do, but it's just to respect you. Then they decide, okay, इसको 100 किलो रिस्पेक्ट दूंगा मैं, इसको आधा किलो रिस्पेक्ट दे सकता हूँ, इसको मैं अपने बच्चे की बर्थडे पार्टी में डांस करने के लिए बुला सकता हूँ, लेकिन उसका शो में टिकट देके नहीं देखूंगा. So I'm saying this kind of respect people judge you. And so I'm saying this myth that art has to be very accessible, and art can happen everywhere, and you don't need this thing that you need to know this and you need to know that. Art is everywhere. At the same time, the impact of art can only be understood when we make people do it every day. If we can't give them that takeaway, in simple daily routine, then we will fail every day if we can't make art a part of their routine. No matter how many roundtables we attend, the scene won't change. This is not a comment, but I'm saying this: we have to be more responsible in our
Absolutely.
spaces. Yeah.
So while Yogesh,
Yeah, sure.
just 1 minute, while you're
Right.
talking about art and when you feel that these things need to be inculcated, right? While we're talking about educators, there are a lot of parents who are a part of today's conference, and there are few who are watching it live on YouTube. Okay, can you help them understand that how to use Navras, or how to help their children understand their feelings and emotions using पुराने जमाने का हमारा जो नवरस है?
Sure.
ठीक है, अगर आप कोई डांस फॉर्म भी सीख रहे हैं तो आपका नवरस इज द बेस ऑफ एवरीथिंग. Say it be Bharatnatyam, Kathak, Kuchipudi, whichever you were learning, right? Navras is something wherein even if we don't know Navras, हम expressions देते ही रहते हैं ये सब, right? How can a parent help the child to understand? If you can just explain, that would be wonderful.
So I think it's very simple. You have to start inculcating them in a routine. For example, whatever routine the kid is into it, be it even playing a video game. Okay. And I'm now 2 years ago, I might say that हाँ उनको मिट्टी में खेलने दो, but I would today say that उनको video game खेलना है तो खेलने दो. Try to inculcate whatever they're doing. So we'll also become the same bad parent which we have been through. No? So we should not tell ye mat karo, wo mat karo. Let's see what they are doing. And let's start with what they're doing. For example, if they're playing video games 10 hours in a day, how about we engage them in an interesting way that, if there are 9 rasa, then I want to make them, why don't you take 5 minutes and understand what game is he playing and what is the story of the game? If you discuss that, try to understand which character and why don't you just try to play the game and lose in the game with him? He will feel good about it. He will feel he's as an equal. Now, number one thing you can do for this rust transfer, you have to see the kid as an equal. Now, if you always see the kid from the point of view, I have no more than you, and my opinion values more than yours, and whatever I do, I can throw you out of my house because I own the house. Things are not going to change. So you have to come to the level of kid by understanding what are they doing in the routine. If they're spending 10 hours watching Netflix, you have to understand about Netflix. You can't tell them कि भाई गीता पढ़ो, भाई रामायण पढ़ो. नहीं, अगर तुम वो बोलोगे कुछ नया करने से पहले देखो कर क्या रहे हैं. Now then try to make them understand that, okay, if you're watching Game of Thrones is very similar to Mahabharata. Then you draw contrast, then you draw a similarity. You cannot just tell them कि भैया तुम आलू खा रहे हो, कल से आलू मत खाओ, कल से तुम ब्रोकली खाओ. This is not going to happen. This is, beef ban की तरह देश नहीं चलेगा. So I'm saying you have to understand कि कुछ लोग को कुछ आदत पड़ चुकी है और तुम रातों रात नहीं बदल सकते. So and यही नवरस का एक टूल है कि start with mutual respect. आपके भाव मेरे में कुछ अलग रस provoke कर सकते हैं. If you are crying, I can laugh at you because that's what you're evoking inside me. And if someone is laughing, I can still cry because that's what the exchange is happening. Now, this thing, when a parent is scolding a child, let's make it a playful game. Let's put it a point system. Let's gamify it. A parent can only scold 5 times in a day. Okay, let's keep a simple time of 5 times in a day. One kid can only do 3 mistakes in a day. Let's do that. Or let's play 5 versus 5. And it's a very simple thing to channelize the routine. If you are going to treat the kid as your boss treat you in the office, he will not look at the same respect to you when he becomes an adult. Now, you have to understand that the cycle will repeat and you will pass on no knowledge, but only trauma to the kid.
I agree.
So that basic understanding, to understand the routine of the child, and then understanding, okay, I'll put my wallet on when saying that out of those 9 drugs, only 4 or 5 emotions you all will be feeling in a day. Not more. None of us are feeling all the 9 emotions, and we need to feel all the 9 emotions to be human, right? And we need to then meter it. For example, let's keep an hour. Simple routine में ये हो सकता है कि you can keep a common hour where you discuss yours. You have to simplify your routine and tell the kid कि आज मैंने ये देखा और आज मैंने ये सीखा, and then he will tell you. You cannot ask him कि हाँ भाई आज स्कूल में क्या पढ़ा, and then you should also have given him the window कि he can ask you कि what have you learned today.
So beautiful, so beautiful. So give space to each other to share, and have capability to listen also.
Right.
So it's just not about one way finger parent.
Yeah, exactly. And you have to be confident enough कि आज मेरे boss की डांट खाई, बोलो. Today I was insulted in an entire meeting room. You can't be an ideal parent and tell your kid to be an ideal kid when the world is not ideal. You will go into this not so ideal world, and he will face depression, he will feel anxiety, he will going to face stress, because the world is not designed in your house. The world has its own configuration, and there are so many I would say parameters which are non-controllables. Okay, COVID आया और सबको लगता था जो उनकी लाइफ में कंट्रोल है. Everything went for a toss.
I agree.
Someone like Salman Khan, who has a house full, उनकी राधे फिल्म फ्लॉप हो गई. ठीक है, तो I'm saying that is what it is. So you cannot take things for a ride.
Absolutely, absolutely.
So this is what emotion teaches you, that they are dynamic, and emotions कहीं बाहर से नहीं आ रहे, आपके अंदर से ही आ रहे. So since you are dynamic, so your emotions will be dynamic. So don't be a robot. So I'm saying अगर आप सेम चीज करोगे जो आपके पेरेंट्स ने आपके साथ की है, तो आप अपना ही फ्यूचर वर्जन बनाओगे. Right? So just be a little mindful. That's it.
Superb. I hope parents, that was a wonderful sharing by Yogesh. Dr. Modi, what does expressive art therapy use, and to what end, to what extent?
Well, I will give you a little bit of examples from each panelist that have said today. They have shared their experience. So as Sarita ji said, that storytelling is one of the form. And I would like to add a little bit, and language can change the individual's world. It has the power to change the mindset. It has the power to break the pattern of an individual. If I say that bhasha anubhav ko paida karta hai, right? So it has the power to change the mindset. अगर एक negative connotation या negative parameters अगर हम बच्चों को बोलते हैं या adult को भी बोलते हैं, तो वो एक इंसान की alignment को पूरा disturb कर देता है. राइट और सेम तरीके से जैसे योगेश जी ने कहा कि मुझे डांट पड़ी है, बट जब हमें अप्रिसिएशन मिलता है और हम घर पे आके बोलते हैं टुडे आई जस्ट डिड अ लिटिल बिट ऑफ एंड आई गॉट अ लॉट ऑफ अप्रिसिएशन, तो वो जो एक बायोलॉजिकल फिजियोलॉजिकल चेंज लाता है, दैट ब्रिंग्स दैट energy, that vibration gives the entire you are spreading across in your family to the environment as well. Right. And again, when it comes to a behavioral, as Chetna ji is into dance and I guess Yogesh ji into drama and Julie ji bhi jo kaam kar rahe hain, any form which helps to express, it's an expressive art therapy. It's not mandatory that you are providing a paper and a crayon or a watercolor or poster color. That is just an art. वो ही एक चीज डिफाइन नहीं करता है. I would like to share one very beautiful journey that I just went through, and I was asked to do a dance. It was a 2 minutes dance, and it was just given us on the on a WhatsApp group. After ages, I was getting into this dance form, and first of all, I just saw that dance n number of times कि मैं कर पाऊंगी कि नहीं कर पाऊंगी. वो चीजें जो थी वो पहले मेरे थॉट प्रोसेस से आके मेरे फिजियोलॉजिकल और बॉडी को एक्सेप्ट करने में बहुत टाइम लगा कि मैं कर पाऊंगी कि नहीं कर पाऊंगी. और जब किया तो वो उसको सेम कॉपी ही करना था, बट स्टिल देयर वाज सो मच ऑफ हेजिटेशन एंड एंजाइटी इन मी दैट डूड हाउ विल आई डू इट. बट स्टिल when I performed that dance and when I saw, there was still a lot of if I can see myself that I can still not confident enough to post that, to show that to my mentor, because When a dance form, a simple dance form, which can bring me an awareness that where am I lacking, it is a form of expression to bring an awareness in me that yes, there is something lacking. And when there is an awareness, the healing process starts, right? So any form, if you observe your child, if a child or an adult or a teenager is creating something out of any waste product, it is an expression of art. If a child is narrating his or her story, or is expressing in a any form of expression, like आज mama मैंने आज ये किया, just listen to me, that my friend behaved like this to me and I did this. It's all a form of expression, and these are the little nuances which has been ignored, knowingly or unknowingly, because now we are living in a world where materialistic things are more important than emotions, than connection, than spending a quality time with the family, right? आज के दिन में अगर मैं बहुत सारे पेरेंट्स को देखती हूँ, या जब मेरे पास क्लिनिकल सेटिंग में काउंसलिंग के लिए आते हैं, तो आई यूजुअली आस्क, व्हाट डू यू डू व्हेन योर चाइल्ड इज नॉट ईटिंग अ फूड? What do you do when your child is not listening to and writing, class work nahi kar raha hai ya homework nahi kar raha hai? I just turn on the television, uska favorite channel on kar dete hain, और मैं उसको खिलाती हूँ. मदर इज ऑल्सो नॉट पेइंग अटेंशन, तो आप बच्चे से कैसे एक्सपेक्ट कर सकते हो कि वो खाने पे अटेंशन दे? मदर को ही नहीं पता होती कि वो क्या खिला रही है अपने बच्चे को, राइट? द ओनली एजेंडा इज कि बच्चे को खिलाना है, बट जो भाव है, जो इमोशंस है, जो कनेक्शंस है, अगर वो एक वो हमारी रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी है वो कनेक्शन लाना. अगर वो आप नहीं ला पाओगे, then how can you expect a child can come to you and share everything? When a child is constantly observing you, that when a child is coming to you, near you, to share certain things, and you're constantly on a mobile phone, or you're doing something or the other thing you're working on, then there is a void of connection. There is a void of connection, right? So you can't connect. So as an art therapist, throughout my journey, I would like to say that whenever a child, even a teenager or an adult, is coming to you to say something, at least pay attention to it. A mobile phone can stay away for a while, for 5 minutes. Your work can stop for 5 minutes. You can, if you don't pay attention to your document for 5 minutes, it can stay. It is going to be there. But that one emotion, one expression, as Yogesh ji said, कि वो emotions अगर हम नहीं pay attention करेंगे, अगर आपने उसको एक for a minute seconds, for a minute seconds also you are ignoring it, the connection is lost. Absolutely. And that is what is happening when kids are working, when we listen to the kids कि आज टीचर ने मुझे लास्ट बेंच पे बिठा दिया, टीचर ने मुझे सुना नहीं, और उन्होंने दूसरे को सुना और उसी का सुना, that friend has bullied me and nobody is listening to me. And these are the simplest thing which we are not paying attention to it. And how we can use it, to what extent? If we see that, if as a therapist, or if I can bring a little insight to our viewers also, where you see that your child or your teenager, those who are growing and getting into the world and exploring a lot of things, new things for the first time, and when you see that they are not able to express themselves, when they are used to do a lot of sharing with you, and there is little change where they are sulking in, when they are not participating, then any mode of expression therapy, may it be a dance form, may it be a singing, may it be a story, maybe just sitting by side and talking to your just share the things, and something will catch up and your child will definitely come up and share it with you. Give them any, even you're working in the kitchen, just ask your child to be a part of it. वो करे ना करे छोड़ दो, अगर वो observe भी कर रही है और उसमें से अगर कुछ आपको ऐसा लगता है कि something is not working, just let the child, give a space, just hold her hand, hug your child and see the transformation happening. And जैसे वो जादू की चप्पी बोलते हैं MBBS में, and it does work. It's not just
Wow.
a statement, it does
I,
work.
I hear you, Dr. Modi. I mean, it's something which I have been advocating a lot. And trust me, I've been telling my parents also, so parents of my little clients, not my parents as per se, but I always tell them that don't make, mobile and TV a substitute for your
Exactly.
parenting. And that's what Abhi Yogesh ne bhi chat mein dala hai. Unfortunately, that is the scenario. I mean, I loved it. I'm loving this discussion that's happening right now. Tripti, which all sense can we touch upon while we talking about expressive art therapy, and what is the outcome in a scientific outcome, a expected scientific outcome to this?
That's a lovely question. Senses. First of all, we need to look at uh, what is senses for us. We are talking about those five senses that commonly being taught. No, there are much more than these senses. Yeah. So with children, with parents, and even now in education, when we talk about senses, they just think of involving it in a very superficial manner. Just like putting some extra colors in kindergarten becomes like, oh, we have so many colors, they can see these colors full time and it's very good for them. No, what are we doing when we talk about senses? Let us first look at these senses and in which different, as you said, mental frame, in the similar manner, in which developmental stage which senses are predominant and need to be catered to. Are we really aware about it, even as a parent, as caregivers, as educators, as society? Are we looking at it? So number one, when we look at the children which are younger than 7, so here I put them as the ones where milk teeth are not fully established, have not come in. So I'm not even putting them as 0 to 7 because let's take it as a parameter of teething. Okay, जहाँ मिल्क टीथ आना शुरू हुए हैं या हो रहे हैं, आने शुरू हो गए हैं, उसके पहले हमें क्या इन्वॉल्व करना है? What were we as kids or even before us, the generation, were more involved with, where they have more help today, is their basic sense of balance. Yes. What else? Touch. We touched many things. Is it happening now? So, in these lower years, the sense of self, of me being here, yeah, happens only through a lot of movement, having that sense of life, awe, which brings more well being, sense of touch. Do we touch really real things? Okay, as I said, not a plastic apple, but a real apple. How many times do I touch it? Do I buy? Do I smell when I go along to get it? And the sense of balance. Did I try to balance on a beam? And when did I do it last? When did I try to climb a tree? When did I? So it's all swings. I hardly find 0 to 7 year children on swings. Circus. Where are the circus? So when we talk about senses, these are the ones which would activate our senses, right? When you try to climb a tree, the touch, the scratches, everything that your body goes through from 0 to 7. Sand, playing in sand, not the sand that I got at home, but me falling into that sand, okay? So, minus these COVID years, but even before that, Riddhi, we have been with parents, we have been with the children, we are looking at it, it is slowly fading. It's becoming more like, I went to some playgrounds last time and I saw everything had something nice and soft there down. There was no mud. So वो foam का डाला हुआ है पूरा, and I was like, oh my goodness, and that's so colorful. Hmm, what are we doing? So when we talk about expressive or art, so take expression, art, and therapy together. We will need a therapy if the expression has not been given its own place. Art brings that thing. It helps you to bring your emotion in place. Make it, you can, it's like controlling. It's like managing, estimation, knowing, knowing how much to laugh, how much to cry, where, how, in what form. So when you speak about senses and art therapy or expressive art therapy, I'll say it should not be therapy, it should be a day-to-day life. Senses should be acknowledged each day. And senses not in the form of only taste or only smell. How many children have good sense of smell? So many artificial smell that we put in our rooms these days. How many of but naturally, if you see a 3-year-old, 4-year-old, they will do this. If you're cooking something, you put something, naturally they do have. Slow and steady, we take it off. So with art, yes, with expressive art, when you speak about which all the senses, I here look at sense of balance, sense of warmth. When you spoke about hug, when you speak about someone listening, it's sense of listening, not hearing. We hear everything. Right now also there's a honking happening somewhere. There are so many other sounds around us. Sense of listening, sense of thought, sense of speech. Preeti just spoke about it. It's a sense of word, it's a sense of speech. So at different stages, if I look at it, of your own life, yeah, so of children, especially Riddhi, I'm looking here at children from 0 to 7. Are you nourishing? If you want them to have a good sense of self later in their life, you need to bring more sense of balance, more sense of movement also, not as when we look at art these days, we have a format done. Even mandalas are not created, is they're books, you just color within them. Where is the movement? So where is the balance? If I have everything printed, where am I going to find balance in that mandala? So I got 10 books of mandala and got it done. My children did it, but still there is no focus because they didn't make it. Where is the sense of creation? So sense of life comes from sense of creation. Even if that makes no sense to you, it increases a child's sense of creation. And all these balance, sense of life, feeling those navarasas, the movement in all the forms, movement of you moving from kitchen, coming out, keeping things, every kind of movement, which we saw immense in our parents. Weekly cleaning hoti thi, all kinds of movement. These are all movements. You cannot categorize movement also. It's day-to-day movement. And touch, amount of touch. That gives them an inner aspect. They grow towards good sense of hearing, good sense of listening. They become good listeners. They know where to talk, how much to talk. What to talk comes through the sense of thought, language, speech, power of my words. I don't just speak because I'm asked to speak. I speak because what I speak, I mean it. And with my speech, my own ability to connect with the world and allowing the world to connect with me comes in. That's where comes the sense of self, where I sense you as you are. So the sense of space is developed right there. If these lower senses are not taken care of at the right time, you find children who are in their 14, 15, 16 till later ages always struggling with acceptance of that space. Either they want too much of space or they want to shrink and be in one space. They cannot come out in the social elements, find it difficult. They have confusion because the sense of thought which was supposed to be developed, sense of thought is like concepts. So when you work with mud, when you work with water, when you work with colors, when you work with lot of expressions, yeah, bringing your expressions in those small creations. Aata gundte waqt achanak se kuch banana and dikhana, mama see, can you see a duck here? When you lose those things, it's a concept, huh? When you see something on a cloud and see, I think that looks like a beautiful tree. That's a concept, an application of a concept also. So when these things are not met, yeah, now we have to then bring it to them when they are not getting it naturally. We will begin by creating a space. So like when you have come for my one of my sessions where we walked the spiral.
Yes.
So what happens when you walk inside? And it is so different to walk back. It's never the same. Like someone had asked me, how it is different, you're walking the same space. I said, you must walk. I can't tell you. You have to experience it. So these little experiences So even at Trishti, that is when we do the healing art at Trishti, as you know, I try to bring in these things, and I try the parents to know. So I want parents to look at these things from a point of view of bringing the sense of balance. So art also can give you that. When you look at your own art and you find tree थोड़ा और बड़ा हो सकता था, mountains थोड़े से पीछे जा सकते थे. When you start looking at it, appreciating yourself, and then introspection. Wow, that's again a sense of thought. Yeah, self introspection. You don't
Absolutely.
need
So
everyone with that raw now. These are such beautiful, wonderful things that can come through art. And then comes from 7 to 14. When I look at this period where your teething and all are done, your faculties are already loose to experience more of emotions. This is the sense, the world where we sense the world, yeah, through the warmth. How do I feel around people? So that, we could gauge, because we were living, if the ones who have lived in a bigger family can gauge whom they feel more comfortable with, not. So they can gauge through vibration by sitting just next to someone or somebody, even in the room. You get that. What is it? You can't practice or teach it on YouTube, okay? You have to go into the waters to learn swimming. You can't see a YouTube channel and learn it. Yeah, it's exactly like that. Sense of warmth, sense of sight. I don't look at it as sense of sight. I look at it as sense of vision. You can have a sense of vision only when you have experienced enough of exposure to seeing. Yeah, seeing and experiencing, looking at it. Your taste, your smell, they also activate your navrasas. You have a disgust, you feel very disgust about some taste. Yeah. You feel like mango, किसने काटा, कहाँ पर है? You know, yes. So I will say with expressive art therapy, we can bring in all the senses. There is no sense that we can put it aside by saying कि नहीं हम लोग शायद ये sense नहीं कर पाएंगे art therapy से. No. And I'm not talking about art therapy. I'm talking about any kind of form in which you have movement. Wherever you see movement, wherever there is speech, language involved, wherever, yeah, you are allowed to make a lot of mistakes. You're not judged for your talent.
absolutely.
So when you have a space, yes, whenever you have a space like that, all your senses can be nourished. And these senses,
Lovely.
yeah,
Lovely.
not from the lower level, but from a higher level. Yeah.
Absolutely, Tripti, and that reminds me of an incident that happened. So, few months pehle, I had a young client, 10-year-old, even 9-year-old. And while we were talking about nature, and मैं पहले first sitting में मैं बच्चे के साथ यही सब बातें करती हूँ, so that I can create a lovely rapport. हम draw करते हैं, हम move करते हैं, हम dance में as a therapy I start using tunes. So that's just to create a rapport. और उसने एक अच्छा सा जब मैंने उसको crayons और paper वगैरह दिया and said, let's do it. One end is yours and one end is mine. Let's together create something. So co-create, that's the word I used. And he started drawing something. And after said, अच्छा मुझे समझा ये क्या किया है? And he said that मैं कभी कभी गार्डन में जाता हूँ तो मैं ये सोचता हूँ कि बड़ा सा ट्री है तो छोटी सी चींटी उसको देख के क्या समझती होगी, कौन है? And I had such a wonderful experience chatting with that young guy, because I felt that the child was so creative, so expressive, and I so beautifully was talking. I just loved it. And that made me realize that वो जो बच्चे के behavioral issues थे वो उसके नहीं थे, वो कहीं से escalate हो रहे थे. So that helped me to even work better with the parents. That was amazing. And that comes to my next question to Chetna. So that while we're talking about children facing problems or behavioral issues, or the touch, the feelings, nervous and all, how do you identify that a child is facing problems while you're doing your expressive art sessions, and what measures are taken to to help the child once this problems identified?
Yeah. So the applied theatre work that happens, and like we've been working with schools for 10 years using this space of work, and it's highly cathartic in the way, because it also officially has been termed as a theatre which heals psychosocial wounds. So so this is a very sensitive yet a very embracing space. And also, as you're all mentioning, I think art therapy has been in the world since ages. You know, like if you open the ancient text Silapadikaram of Tamil literature, the protagonist, when she feels depressed, she is actually given to a group of dancers to heal her depression. And the Greek theater Epidaurus, if you still go there, a 10,000 capacity theater has a temple outside, a sanctuary where all the mental health patients, they first heal themselves and then go to watch the theater. It was there 10,000 years ago. So it's been with us. And there is a very old tradition in India called the Thaliki Ramayana, where when a snake bites a person, you know, it's in Bridge, you know, north of India, there is a whole night that the Thali Ramayana is played, because the copper of the vibration does not let the poison move through the person's body. And also it's a community gathering exercise where people come in and they are with the person, you know, holding the space as a community. So I think it's a very beautiful space to, as I think Yogesh, somebody said that it has to be practiced. It was our ritualistic practices which got converted to theater, actually. So we Indians especially never see rituals, we participate in rituals. So we are very participatory people. We participate in theater, we storytelling, rituals, healing, mandalas, and holis. We are all very participatory. So it's in us. It's just that I think the colonization of our education brought us to more consumers of culture. You know, we must become culture consumers than consumer culture, as I say. So it has to be the other way around. So coming back to the work that you said is identifying out the work that we do, as I said, is very psychosocially very attuned to the space. And there is a great sense of presence. The facilitator, her or himself, or themselves have to be in a space of their own cleansing, first of all, to be able to be present with the group of children or adults that we work with. We work with teachers and corporates or with children. And also let me say that theater, जैसे जोगेश ने बोला कि थिएटर कुछ नहीं कर रहा तो थिएटर बन जा, थिएटर वाले में भी बहुत बुक्स पढ़नी पड़ती हैं. There is a lot of science to theater. For example, let's say I will tell you an incident where this question will come to its fruition of answer. A process called Theatre of the Oppressed, where we look at how Boal's work, Augusto Boal's work, which in turn, I don't know if psychologists probably would know that William Reek was a great psychoanalyst, and he brought in a theory of character armor, that we become the character we don. It's also used in theater, in Stanislavski form of theater. So if you see, okay, can I invite all of you right now? Maybe we also have Roshan with us. Can we invite all of you to, in a count of three, everybody, can you take the posture of a teacher? Everybody, if you can come on video. On a count of three, can we become a teacher? Okay, 1, 2, 3 in your shape. Come on, in your body. 1, 2, 3, a teacher. कोई भी हंस नहीं रहा है. Okay, Dr. Preeti, you're smiling. Okay, relax. Okay, yes, Yogesh was a little pleasant. Yes. So mine workers, if you see, or software engineers, if you can see an army person, even not in uniform, you'll be able to recognize he's an army person. So we don that armor of that character. So what Boal did, Augusto Boal, he took this theory and he wanted to get people in his classrooms, in his rehearsal spaces, deconstruct this body, armor. So he did some exercise to demechanize our everyday routine. It could be, as you all probably do as healers and art healers, to play in mud, sand, tree, climb. And he used to do theatrical kinesthetic exercises. So he used to trigger what is actually in science called the core response network. Right from the trigger of the senses, he moved to neocortex movement, to limbic movement, to a proprioceptive movement, to integrated soma movement. It's a science which you move. So what you did right now, you moved into memory lane, you embodied it from your memory to your proprioceptive space, and then you stood with it for some time. And you remembered everything. Even if I tell you, you would have visualized the pictures of your teacher, English child, lunch break. So all of that got integrated into your soma. So what we do is we take these processes, this is just one process, and when we do this as an exercise, we take these reflections from children in something called as reflective space. So children speak about, I was very uncomfortable when I did this. It was very suffocating when I did this. When you told me the theme of pressure, when we give them theme of pressure or parental expectation, children actually do theater pieces on heavy bags, on bullying. So they talk about what happened in their body. Yes. So image theater is one technique with less words and more body. So similar space, what we were doing, and this is with permission of the school and the child, we were doing a theater on image work called forum theater, which is a bus forum theater where a girl boards a 9 o'clock, a late night bus, and then she's the only one on the bus, and the boy, there's another boy who boards the bus, they're alone, and the boy starts acting inappropriate. So this was shown to a group of 14-year-olds. And this is a theater where you can call a stop and you can become from spectator to spectator. It gives you that power. जैसे हम बहुत बार बोलते हैं, अरे मैं सीन में होता तो मार देती, मैं ये कर देती. So this theater gives you that space. So while this forum theater was on, this girl in this class, I knew this at school for 6-7 years, so we knew the culture, the space. She started to get very uncomfortable because a lot of girls would stop and say, "Ma'am, I want to hit the boy," theatrically hit the boy, or I want to call the conductor. So this girl started getting uncomfortable, and then she suddenly stood up and says, "I want to leave the room." And we questioned her, and she said, "Ma'am, I have been sexually abused by somebody in my school in the class. The boy was in the class." So it triggered so much in her. And there was, of course, a very awkward silence. The co-facilitator had to be with other children. And I took the child to the school counselor and psychologist. We escalated. But also, let me tell you, the other part is so important, that the boy who actually was doing it was reintegrated back, and he performs playback theater with us. So it's very important to see the other part that said that we don't know from where he got that, right? So the blame isn't on him. So very important to include that too. So people are not, they don't become serial abusers, bad husbands or bad bosses later in life. So these are some instances that this is just one piece. There are many, because we work with schools every day. We are a part of the curriculum. We meet 200 children every day. So some incident or the other, they speak in their words, as Dr. Modi said. Words are a great channel. Sometimes the child says, "I'm happy." So for me, happy is nothing. So I say, "What about happy?" I felt happy because my mother made something. Okay, that is what we are talking. "Oh, I'm sad." I don't know what's sad, but what is making you sad? "I'm fine." It's taught very wrongly in our culture. कैसे हो? हाँ ठीक हूँ, अच्छा हूँ. But उसके आगे क्या है? Yeah. So these are some reflective practices we follow, and there are more, but whenever time allows, I will come back. Thank you so much.
Brilliant. I'm speechless. Lovely. I don't know. I'm totally blank at the moment because there's so much. And I mean, that triggers to few of the incidents and the clans that I've handled, and I can so relate to these things. Sarita, since we are talking about age group where the vocabulary has not been developed and the emotions are unidentified, how can we use storytelling to heal children?
Well, there's such a powerful conversation here. And like Tripti was talking and everybody was talking, arts is all connected to each other. So even when you're working with children who are very young, I'm sure Riddhi, you've been doing it, Dr. Preeti's been doing it, Tripti's been doing it. Very young children, it is usually expressed through, drawing or something where you have somebody who supports them with words. So it's a lot of the story is done by the child. In whatever format they are comfortable with, and the teller is just trying to fix it together. But if it is for children above 5, then we try and use, it could be animals, or it could be toys, vehicles, whatever it is that the child is connected to, which we come to know in the conversation, and we use that as the hero in the story. So it's first is to try and identify what is the challenge. what is the feeling that the child has? What is the need of the child? Is it to, does the child need support? Does the child need love? Does the child need acceptance? And then once you identify the challenge, figure out what is required, then try and bring in a story which has a character the child can relate to. Bring in a resolution which helps the child uh, walk that journey with the character. And that resolution solves the conflict, and the child feels that, okay, child is part of that without a lecture, and they are overcoming it. So for different age groups it would be different, but the journey is with the character, and there is always someone who's providing a solution. There's someone, like if you look at animals, you'll have um, if there's a story of an octopus, I can share that with you quickly. It's to talk about acceptance. So there was an octopus called Oki, and every time he played, he would end up tripping other sea animals with his tentacles. Somebody would trip on him, he would end up tickling someone, and all kinds of things. And they were so irritated, they actually started a song saying, Oki, don't play, we don't like how you're playing with us. And they would keep saying that loudly every time he tried to play. So there was an old wise turtle who woke up with all this noise, and the turtle started observing what's happening with Oki, the octopus, and he realized, oh, octopus Oki never realized that how is he to use his body to move. So he just doesn't know how to move under the ocean. So what we really need to do is try and get Oki to move with his tentacles. So this wise turtle, he gave a seaweed. One end he gave it to Oki and said, you put it in your mouth. And the other end he gave to all his friends who were the other sea animals and said, you all hold it. And we'll pull Oki and we'll teach Oki how to move. So they all started pulling him. And as Oki realized, okay, he's just moving, he realized that there's, the sea water was moving in from one side and exiting from the other side, which actually propelled him forward. And then he realized, okay, I can leave the seaweed. And soon he was actually moving under the ocean. So that after that, he didn't annoy anyone with his tentacles because he knew exactly how to move under the sea. So these are some of the stories with metaphors which are used for children. And it's about accepting another child. It's about trying to understand why that's happening. So here, if you look at all of them, the octopus is someone who's got a lot of tentacles, doesn't know how to use. If you look at the wise turtle, it's again someone who's old and wise and who comes with a solution. So even the animals used in the story, the characteristics have a significance. So that's how we, deal with certain issues in therapeutic storytelling. However, if there are serious traumatic situations, then it is always good to have a psychologist in the, part of the storytelling if we are not a therapist or a psychologist. So we can understand what's happening, but there are certain things which we really need a psychologist to be a part of. So yes, that's how we do it.
Beautiful, beautiful. Julie, I remember the day when we connected. You spoke to me about EFT. Okay, and not many people are aware of this modality EFT. How does it help, especially children who face stress, trauma, or mental distress? Would you like to talk about it?
Yes, surely. When we talk about EFT is something energy healing. And just like acupuncture, this one EFT is emotional freedom technique, which is also capable of dramatically relieving many physical symptoms, emotional symptoms, because physical pains are also there. Because when someone is stressed, whether it is child, adult, when we are, stressed, when we are depressed, we are having physical symptoms like headache, chest pain, panic attacks, unable to breathe. So these are physical symptoms. And with the help of EFT, which is emotional freedom technique, tapping into certain meridian points in our body. Meridian points are certain points in our body which where our emotions flow. Right. I'll just show you a short example.
Sure, sure.
Not much people knows about it. Well, it was Gary Gregg. You all know about him, I think, Gary Gregg. So it's like that. Certain points, these are certain points that is at the top of our nose, in the beginning of our eyebrow, side of our eye, below our eye. If you see in the Google, otherwise I could share my screen. It's okay. You can later on, participants can also search in Google. When you see EFT meridian points, you will see a chart where different points are shown. So here what happens?
Julie, I've given you co-host rights if you want to share the screen.
All right, so that I can hear, and now I can share with.
Yes, please. That would be wonderful.
Yeah, are you able to see the screen?
Yes.
All right,
Yes.
here you see the basic recipes. On the top of the head, on the beginning of the eye, it's written here, on the beginning of the eyebrow, on the bone at the side of the eye, again here, bone under the eye, between the nose and lips, that is below nose and below our lips, bottom lip, just under the collarbone, and about 4 inches under our armpit. So usually for the comfort zone, we don't touch our client. We teach them, we therapists, we tap in our own body. We show them just like this is your, take your hand and this is the karate chop, and we tell them. And here we use some positive statement, affirmation, like example, I would like to, if you like all the panelists here or the participants want to do with me, you can do with that. Just 2 minutes, right? Suppose I'm very sad without any reason. I don't know. My whole day was horrible. So I feel, I don't know. I don't have any reason, but still I'm feeling very low down. Just sit on your bed and just start tapping. Like, even though I feel very sad, I still choose to heal and integrate that part of me. I still choose to love and accept myself. Go to the next point. Even though I feel very sad, I feel very sad without any reason, I still choose to heal and integrate that part of me. Even though you can use your 2 fingers and just lightly tap, no need to hit too much. Even though I feel very sad, I still choose to heal and integrate that part of me. I still choose to love and accept myself. So we need to say, repeat this positive statement and keep tapping. So when we finish one round, the second round, we need to ask ourselves, where in my body I feel this sadness? And believe in your first thought, where in my body I feel this sadness. Thought will come in your mind automatic, whether in like on your chest, on your forehead, on your feet. All right. So whatever the first thought, believe in that. I feel this sadness on my chest, and I still choose to heal and integrate that part of me. I still choose to heal and integrate that part of me. And then, because when we say sadness, it is there is no boundary to it. It's a huge word, sadness. So here what happens, to make it specific, we need to, before we start EFT, actually we need to sit and then make it specific, rate into 0 to 10. So what is the intensity of my sadness, anger, whatever I'm feeling, 0 to 10. So if I'm angry, my anger is maximum or sadness is maximum, 10 out of 10. Like, again, specify it. If this sadness had a word, what it could tell me, specify it. You're good for nothing, or nothing will happen in your life, you are a failure, or nobody loves you. If it had a word, what it could tell me. So make it into like sadness word is a large, huge. So we have to specify into a little. So, like a therapist who, EFT practitioner, he or she will guide the client to do that. At first, they will do a session with them and find it out what exactly the sadness is, or why is the anger, from where it come out. So often what happened, now I relate with my orphan children. So when we do EFT with them, And the reason behind that anger comes out their mother, their father. And here, because as a child, because we all know our early development is 0 to 7. In that period, the maximum damage has been done to those children in the orphanage. Also, in our home, because earlier our panelists have well spoken, Yogesh, Priti ji, and other panelists also, that home is an atmosphere where parents are the first teachers, role models, and children mirror them. Children will never listen what I'm a parent, mother of 7-year-old. My son will not listen if I keep telling him, don't watch mobile, don't watch TV. And I myself, if I keep scrolling my FB and my WhatsApp, I'm the example for him. So I have to specify that my mobile screen time is this much. Working time is this much when I'm back from home. So I'm an example for him. So, in my 7 years as a motherhood, my personal experience, after becoming a therapist, I have seen every small detail my child, he catches. Every small detail. And here, this is my message to all the family members. In every home, there is children. Even if you're not parents, there is child, every home. Be careful with your words and actions.
Absolutely.
Please be careful, because what we are saying, we are the role models for that. Whether we are speaking to someone else, to our family or neighbor or society, or to our children. तुमसे तो कुछ भी अच्छा नहीं होगा, कितना तुम्हारे दोस्त, we compare them to other siblings and parents, so it leaves a deep scar inside them. So like already our speaker has told, earlier speakers, that expressive art therapy is not limited to only drawing and painting. Everything, I believe everything that we do is art. Whether I arrange my books on the table, on the shelf, is an art. Whether I arrange my utensils in the kitchen is an art. Whether I ask my son, please fold your clothes better and keep in your cupboard, that is also an art. So everything in our life that we do, whether a child or an adult, everything is an art. And when we do with love, we grow in perfection. But the same thing, when we do it in anger, it has no meaning. It's useless.
Awesome.
So
this is just sorry, you were saying something. I'm sorry.
Yeah. So this is just a request to all the parents and participants, and beside our panelists, those who are watching us, please be careful. Everyone has family and everyone has children. Spread this awareness. Expressive art therapy is not only about drawing and painting. It's about everything that we do in our life with love and care. Especially when we deal with our children, the little ones, they are very, very delicate and innocent. They're very fragile. We need to handle with care.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Julie. I mean, amazing. Before we enter the third phase of our questions to our experts, to all the viewers on YouTube and to all the ones who are present here, please block your calendar with 18th of December, because 18th of December, Rhhyns would have its 4th roundtable conference, wherein we'll be focusing on nutrition and finance. So please block your calendars from now. And to all my panelists, I am so loving this conversation that's on and discussions that's happening. I would love to hear from all of you. What would you want to leave the audience with? What do you want them to think about, and what support would you want from them? I keep the space open for everybody, all the panelists to talk. I mean, feel free. Yes, please.
Okay, Truptiji, please go ahead. All right, so thank you so much, Truptiji, for allowing me to bring the insight again. So only message that I would like to give, that it's time where you need to change the definition of what is art, first of all. Again, it's time to accept your family members and first and foremost your child the way they are. Stop correcting them. Stop comparing them. If they want to color the sky pink, let it be. Don't correct it with the blue, right? Because if you are giving a chance to explore the world from their own eyes, they will go ahead. Don't cut their wings. At least, when you are allowing them to explore the world in the school, when they are just 3.5 year old or 4 year old, with an open arms, and when they are doing mistakes, welcome with the same open arm. Don't just let them push it away, that you have not done this nicely, you have not written this in a beautiful handwriting, you have not colored the picture in a precise manner. Give them their space. दिस इज वेरी बहुत छोटी सी बात है. हम एक छोटी सी चीज भूल जाते हैं कि जब बच्चा, पहली चीज आप अपने खुद के बच्चे को देते हो वो एक कलर देते हो टू स्क्रिबल. उसको पहले गाना सुनाते हो ऑन योर फोन, या आप खुद बोल के सुनाते हो कि बेटा तू माँ बोल, पापा बोल, ठीक है. योर वोकल, योर टोन, योर लैंग्वेज इज द फर्स्ट वे to bring them into the connection to the acceptance, right? The first movement that you do with your child is to touch them with a warm hug and acceptance, right? Then again, you are exploring them to the world of the television, where they are imitating the dance form, right? And again, you are giving them a chance to touch the food, to senses, right? So everything as Julie ji said कि जो भी आप करते हो, जब एक माँ खाना बनाती है तो अपने बच्चे के लिए हर एक वे में खाना बनाती है. वो जब उसके तीत नहीं आते हैं तो उसके लिए वो लिक्विडी खाना बनाती है. जब वो दांत आने लगते तो वो सेमी लिक्विड बनाती है कि वो चबा सके, उसको एक एहसास दिलाती है. And it's time where you literally change the definition of art. And when you stop defining the way of doing an art, कि आपको झाड़ को हरा ही कलर करना है, आपको पानी को ब्लू ही करना है, आपको मछली को यही कलर करना है. जब आपने वो करेक्शन करना छोड़ दिया, बच्चा इवॉल्व होगा. और जब बच्चा इवॉल्व होगा, साथ में आप भी इवॉल्व होंगे, बिकॉज यू आर लेटिंग योर चाइल्ड ग्रो विथ हिज ओन डिसीजन. यू आर नॉट स्टॉपिंग हिम.
I have to share something, Dr. Modi. I remember my little one was in junior KG and nursery, and he had colored the cloud brown. And I got a note from the school, the pre-primary school where he was nursery, that get the basics right for your child. And I asked my little one ki kya hua ki tumne ye brown kiya cloud? So he's saying, Mama, ganda pani rehta hai na, to aap bolti ho pani upar jata hai to ganda pani brown hi hota hai, so the cloud is brown.
Exactly. See, this is what the nuances is. हम generally क्या करते हैं? I really appreciate that you asked a question to your kid. Generally क्या होता है? टीचर ने complain कर दी, आपके बच्चे ने अच्छी handwriting से नहीं लिखा है, ये spelling गलत लिखी है, आपके बच्चे का basic phonics ठीक करी. अरे but being a mother, वो एक panic state में आ जाती, मेरे बच्चे को इतना सा नहीं आता है, मेरे बच्चे को नहीं आता है.
Yes.
And then we start comparing, उसको डिग्रेड करते हैं, उसको ये शब्द बोलते हैं जो बोलना नहीं चाहिए. And then there is a starting, an initiation of mental health problem starts from the childhood.
Absolutely, Dr. Modi. I can so agree with this.
Right.
Thank you. I mean, you have given you've seeded a thought. In fact, बहुत अच्छा है कि give them space. Let them be creative. Give them space. Give them complete non-judgmental space.
Sorry, I'll just cut in between, and one statement I would like to speak, and I will wrap it up. Buddha कहते हैं कि when you love somebody, when you really deeply love someone, you don't pluck it. If you love flower, you don't pluck it. You water it daily, so it nurtured. So you need to water your child. You need to water yourself so that you can nurture, you can evolve.
Absolutely. Nurture.
Wow, that's
and
beautiful.
while Julie said they are
Yes.
fragile, so
Yes.
handle with care. Wonderful,
Yeah.
wonderful. That's so lovely. I would love to hear from all the panelists. I mean, something. Yes, please, Trupti.
Yeah, so here I will take it forward where Priti says, if you love the flower, if you like it, nurture it. At times, what happens is a parent needs a lot of healing in itself. So when I look at it, I will request the parent, when you see that need to look into yourself, it's not always your child. Why is my child doing this? Why is my child doing that? I will say this in this space when there are parents, I want to request all the parents, please pick up your unhealed part and try to free that so that you can choose right for your child. Because most of the time we all want something good. How, as a parent, Riddhi, when we also started, didn't we want the best for our children? The intentions are good, but sometimes we do not have that power within to make those calls. We don't, what I don't have within me, I cannot extend. So they also are helpless, and they find things from whatever they can. So the first thing I will tell parents here, when you see a problem in your child, first look into yourself, because it has not started somewhere out, it started somewhere right there. They're a part of you. So like when we say
Absolutely.
stories, each story I'm made up of a story. So this is some part of my story which has come right in front of me, and I need to cater to it. So I
Absolutely.
work on myself. Next, I'll say here, again, when we look at, as Preeti said it, the example which you gave, it was same. As a community, as a caregiver, as teachers, we need to also not be very much instinctively talking about, again, that's again an unhealed part of me, when I say aapke bachon ke basic dekho, because I'm scared about my position here in school, the number of children performing well. So when as a community we start giving that freedom to the teachers also, I'm sure they will also heal to some level and come to that. So that's where even my child, so my son is now 30. So when he was a child, kindergarten, and he comes home, dictation mein kitna mila? So it is like, Mummy, sub right. Okay, sub right. Are, wow, that's lovely. So, Mummy, sub right, art wrong. Okay, so I loved him when he said that he actually meant 2 right and 8 wrong, but sub right and art wrong. As a mother, it was very difficult at that time. What is my son talking sub right, art wrong? Or when there was one time when he just, instead of L for leaf, there was some pattern design, नीचे end में end करने के लिए पहले होता था कि वो लोग नीचे से flower वगैरह की कोई design से end. Instead of taking that L to that leaf, he went all the way round. Why he did that, I have no idea, no clue. But he went down and there was a tiny leaf, he touched that. Maybe that tiny leaf touched him and he felt L for leaf is there. He just missed the original leaf over there. And I was called and told he does this. But I was extremely happy somewhere inside it's an application, because that's what I was told by my parents. My father was like this, luckily the black sheep at that time, and I'm happy I'm the black sheep too. So that's how, sometimes some parents, they want to do it, but then they fall into the category of being the scared of being that black sheep. I have so many parents who actually want to do a lot, but won't I be different from the normal if I allow my child to make a choice of becoming this and not what he एप्टीट्यूड तो बोल रहा है कि नैनो टेक्नोलॉजी लो, और आप बोल रहे हो कि उसे करने दो थिएटर. मैं घर में क्या बोलूंगा, मैं फैमिली को क्या बोलूंगा? That there is this. When I look at it, I will request all the parents here through this platform, please look at that unhealed part of you, work upon it, and when you are able to cater to yourself, you will cater very well to your child. It will come very much, very naturally. It just comes naturally.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Yogesh, would you like to add something to
I'll quickly share a slide and I'll just say what this closing thoughts will be. So this slide especially, it says that, so will you behave differently if after you die, your memories and non-human creations will also end with you? And if the conditioning that something as good as bad, something has to be good and something has to be bad and can be done away, and we focus on only what it is, and then the world will be less competitive and more co-creative. These two closing thoughts. And one small thought for parents, that your kids are not a continuer of your unfulfilled dreams and legacy.
Yes.
The kids have their own journey and they are getting ready for the world of future. So don't judge them from your world of past. They are getting ready for the world of future, where you are not going to be there. So they will take care of themselves on their own. So let them
Brilliant. Brilliant.
Yeah.
Thank you. Sarita, would you like to add something to what Yogesh, Tripti, and Dr. Modi have been talking about?
Yes, wonderful to hear all these thoughts. And I would like to reinforce what Dr. Preeti was sharing about art is, and Judy was also sharing. So I just want to share something we came across while we were doing the stories of Itihas. After partition, India was going through a very bad time as a country. And there is this one woman whose name was Kamla Devi Chattopadhyay, who it took it upon herself and was responsible for bringing back the cultural heritage of India, right from handicrafts to handlooms to she. Also, I'm sure the theatre people here would know, was responsible for founding National School of Drama. And we cannot ignore the impact of art and culture in healing, because that's one of the things that really got India to come back and become one and start functioning when they started going back to the roots. So art is tremendous in terms and so powerful with respect to impact. The second thing, what Triptiji said about healing self, that's so true, because we see that as parents, even we connect to it. So what are the stories we're telling ourselves? And before you tell a story to your child, when you start writing that story that you want to tell your child, things are so clear that you may not even have to tell the story to the child. The story was actually meant for you. So just take a minute to look at how we are not perfect. We are all work in progress. And I think look at the stories that you tell yourself. So yes, thank you so
Brilliant.
much. Wonderful.
Brilliant, brilliant. Julie.
Yes, I would just like to give my last message that awareness about mental health, about sex education, about art therapy, about counseling should begin at each home. By the time a child is born in the family, our responsibility is to teach them how to walk, how to eat, how to wear dress, like a toilet training, everything parents are aware. Please take this responsibility. Don't depend only on the school, that school will give the education to sex education or education for what is mental health, because I definitely want, and this is, I really want to say to everyone in this country especially, that mental health should be an important part of our school education. I think there should be a subject, we have GK, science, rhymes, moral science. Why not our board members, education board member, introduce one mental health subject where they know what is depression, anxiety, when they know how to handle bully, when they know where to go and tell when I am abused or I am sad without any reason, when I am battered at home and have no one to tell. So this is an awareness, like because we parents or society, we think school में सब मिल जाता है, लेकिन जब स्कूल में ये बेसिक मेंटल हेल्थ का जो सामान है, पैक है, ये नहीं मिलता है, तो अभी हम जैसे लोग जितने भी कोशिश करते हैं, so it's not coming out, so it has to be one important. So पता नहीं ये कब introduce होगा स्कूल में, but please parents and all the viewers, spread this message wherever you go, that every parent in every family, mental health, about counseling, about depression, about anxiety, about bully, about sex education should be educated at home. So children know where to go. And please, I really agree to Yogesh sir, Yogesh ji, उन्होंने कहा कि please don't fulfill parents your own dream through your children. Please don't do that. Please, children are very beautiful. They will definitely. Pritish ji ने कहा था जो girls का जो poem है, they are born, they came in this world through us, but they have their own dreams. So please give them the freedom, the wings to fly, and just be by their side.
Thank you so much, Julie.
Last line that I tell my son always, that the sky has no limit, beta. Whatever you want, you do. Remember, your mom and dad are always at your back. We are not ahead of you to show you the way, walk this side. No, we are at your back, because when you fall down, we will be there to catch you, but you have to explore. Thank you so much.
Brilliant, brilliant. And Chetna.
Yeah, I think I like to just thank my parents. Their parents are not wrong and you're not wrong. So please don't bully the parents, guys. We are not right, they're not right. There's no charge universe, I think, that we must. And I think what I like to play a lot of gratitude today, that we're all talking to my school. I think I had a very beautiful school. We had mental health classes. I'm 44. Wonderful. So I studied in Dehradun. I was a hockey team captain. I was also cultural committee. We had a revolving stage, 6 grounds, football grounds, horse. Only 25 rupees was my fee of the school. Wow. And it was 225 later after 10 years. So, and also my subjects were taught through theater then. Shakespeare, geography was taught through theater. So that means mainstream schools can exist like that. You don't have to have an alternate universe. I have studied, and Dehradun schools have actually a curriculum which have all of this. Then, I'm talking
Brilliant, brilliant.
Oh, and also I like to also thank, I think, today community, my grandmom who told me stories of partition. Because of that, I have a lot of resilience today. I went through a divorce as single parenthood, all of resurrecting my work and business, all of that because I were told stories, what Sarita said, of partition, of resilience, of believing in humanity. Yes, of believing that humanity exists. And I think the last bit I would like to say, guys, be joyful, because money follows joy, relationships follow joy. Joy doesn't follow money. कि एक दिन मैं कटरीना के ऐसी शादी कर लूँगा तो मैं खुश हो जाऊँगा. Who guarantees, man? So have fun.
Absolutely.
और I'd like to just close this with a song. बहुत ही से दो गाना है, वो दो लाइन दो पंक्ति है. 1 2 3. दबे पैरों से उजाला आ रहा है, दबे पैरों से उजाला आ रहा है, फिर कथाओं को खंगाला जा रहा है. सरिता जी, फिर कथाओं को खंगाला जा रहा है. So उजाला आ रहा है, होप मत छोड़िए.
Beautiful, beautiful, the amazing ending. To all the parents, to all the viewers, and before even I give a parting statement, Yogesh, thank you so much. Such a motivating statement and a feedback. I mean, that says all. Thank you so much to all the parents, to all the viewers. एक छोटी सी कोशिश थी हमारी तरफ से. Together, all the people have been doing some wonderful work in their space, and together they have been talking about it, about mental wellness, about expressive art. And here at Rhhyns Roundtable, together we talk about it, we emphasize. And एक छोटा सा message आप सबके लिए, that let your children be themselves. Don't make them something what you want it to be, or what you want your child to be. Let the child be himself or herself. Let them create their own space. It is very important. We as a parent need to be there to support. We as a parent need to be there to inculcate and let them mirror from you. So resilience is something which I'm sure pandemic has taught us, right? So resilience is something which you need to inculcate in your children. Let them be themselves and give them lots and lots of non-judgmental space to share, and listen also in a very non-judgmental way. एक छोटी सी request है हम सबकी तरफ से, and keep following Rhhyns Academy, because we keep coming up with roundtable conference. And एक और चीज आपको बोलनी थी, ये जो वीडियो है जो हमने YouTube पे डाला, if you can share, because the panelists have shared some beautiful tips. Their sharings are amazing, and that the sharings are something which they have inculcated in their life, और इन्होंने अपने practice किया है, इसके बारे में research किया है, and they talk about it. So why not we share and make it available for so many people? Because I'm sure whoever 2 घंटे का पिक्चर देखने से बेटर है 2 घंटे के पैनल डिस्कशन देख लीजिए, आपके लिए बहुत सारी लर्निंग्स रहेगी. थैंक यू सो मच टू ऑल द पैनलिस्ट, थैंक यू दिल से. एंड 2 घंटा आपके वेरी हेक्टिक शेड्यूल से निकाला, मेरा इनवाइट एक्सेप्ट किया. थैंक यू दिल से. थैंक यू सो मच.
Thank you, Riddhi ji. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Riddhi.
Thank
Such
you.
a